What if a nation could look blessed on the outside and still be rotting on the inside? What if worship songs could rise to heaven and still be rejected by God? Stay with me, because this story doesn't begin with a famous prophet, it begins with a shepherd. And it ends with a warning that still shakes the world today. In a time of visible peace and growing prosperity, when Israel felt secure, powerful, and favored by God, the Lord chose an unlikely messenger. He didn't come from royalty. He wasn't trained in a prophetic academy. He had no religious status. He was a shepherd and a caretaker of sycamore trees. His name was Amos. And when he spoke, his voice didn't soothe. It thundered. Amos lived in Tekoa, a small village south of Judah, surrounded by dry hills, rough land, and relentless wind. His days were shaped by dust, animals, and hard labor. Nothing about his life suggested national influence. No one would have expected this rural worker to walk into the most powerful religious centers of the northern kingdom. No one, except God. Meanwhile, Israel was experiencing economic expansion and political stability under King Jeroboam II. Borders stretched wider, trade routes flourished, cities expanded, markets overflowed. The wealthy built luxurious homes and planted vineyards. Religious festivals filled the calendar. Sacrifices were constant. From a human perspective, the nation had never looked better. But God saw what prosperity was hiding. Under the surface was deep moral decay. Justice was for sale. Judges accepted bribes. The poor were crushed. The needy were treated like objects. Religion was active, but hearts were distant. Songs were sung in the temples, while suffering was ignored in the streets. It was in that violent contrast, outward abundance and inward corruption, that God called Amos. There was no ceremony, no applause, no public recognition, just a divine interruption. I was not a prophet, nor the son of a prophet. I was a shepherd. But the Lord took me from following the flock and said, "Go, prophesy to my people Israel." That word "took" was not gentle. God pulled him out of obscurity and pushed him into confrontation. Because his message would not comfort the nation, it would expose it. Amos crossed borders and walked straight into the religious heart of the northern kingdom. He carried no weapon, no army, no political backing. Only words, burning words, declaring that God's patience was reaching its limit. But notice something unexpected. Amos did not start by condemning Israel. That would have been easy to dismiss. Instead, God first spoke against the surrounding nations, like a circle of fire slowly closing in. For 3 sins, and for 4, I will not turn back the punishment. Damascus was first. They had crushed Gilead with brutal violence, treating human beings like grain beneath iron threshing tools. This was not symbolic exaggeration. It was a direct charge of inhuman cruelty. God made it clear. When power is used to crush the weak, that is not military strategy, it is moral crime. Then came Gaza, Tyre, Edom, Ammon, and Moab. Slavery, betrayal, relentless revenge, violence against the defenseless. Every nation was named, every injustice remembered, every judgment declared. The people of Israel were listening, and likely agreeing, maybe even feeling vindicated. But the circle kept tightening. The voice that sounded distant was moving closer. Judah was mentioned next. And then the silence grew heavy when Amos spoke Israel's name. They were not guilty because they lacked knowledge. They were guilty because they knew better and still chose corruption. They sold the righteous for money and the poor for a pair of sandals. They trampled the heads of the helpless. They committed immoral acts and then calmly laid beside the altars. They drank wine bought with unjust fines in places meant for worship. God reminded them of what they had forgotten. He brought them out of Egypt. He defeated enemies before them. He raised prophets among them. Yet they traded faithfulness for comfort. They believed rituals would protect them, that religious celebrations would excuse them, that being chosen made them immune. But Amos declared a terrifying truth. Being chosen increases responsibility. Then came words that shattered their confidence. I hate your festivals. I reject your assemblies. Even if you offer me burnt offerings, I will not accept them. Take away the noise of your songs. But let justice roll like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. God was not tired of worship. He was tired of hypocrisy. He did not want louder music. He wanted living justice. And here's the question that still burns today. What is the point of raising hands in worship, if those same hands push others down? The people longed for the day of the Lord, expecting victory. Amos said it would be darkness, like escaping a lion only to meet a bear, like reaching home and being bitten by a snake. There would be no escape, because the real danger was within. Then God gave Amos 5 visions. First, locusts devouring the land. Amos pleaded, and God paused the disaster. Second, a consuming fire. Amos interceded again, and mercy held back judgment. But the third vision changed everything. God stood with a plumb line, measuring a wall. This was evaluation, not warning. The wall was crooked. I will spare them no longer. The fourth vision showed a basket of ripe fruit. It looked good, but it meant the end was near. Time had run out. The fifth vision showed the Lord beside the altar, commanding destruction. The place of worship became the place of reckoning. No hiding, no escape. And still, not everyone repented. Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, accused Amos before the king. He called him a political threat. He told him to leave, to prophesy somewhere else. The religious system rejected God's message because truth threatened comfort. But Amos stood firm. He was not a professional prophet. He was a man sent by God, and he would not be silenced. Then, when judgment seemed final, hope appeared. God spoke of restoration beyond the fall, of rebuilding the fallen tent of David, of a future where blessing would reach even the nations. Judgment was not the final word. Mercy was waiting on the other side of ruin. Amos disappears from history without applause, without recognition. But his voice never disappeared. It echoes whenever justice is sold, whenever the powerful crush the weak, whenever religion becomes a mask. So now the question comes to us. If God measured our lives with his plumb line today, what would he find? If this message made you think, make sure to like this video so more people can hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful biblical stories told with depth and clarity. And tell me in the comments, which part of Amos' message challenged you the most?